From Mr. Dawood Khan from Hounslow.
Yes.
What is the best way Muslims can help the people in Iraq, apart from helping them militarily?
Well, it's not possible for us to help the people in Iraq directly, because whenever we render sensible advice to the Iraqi leadership, they reject that advice. And that I have been rendering throughout the beginning of that crisis. And we have sent such advices to their ambassadors, to the Iraqi leadership directly. We know the advice was delivered, but they do not care. If they had followed that advice, they should not have gone through that trauma which they went through, with which the entire population of Iraq is suffering. There was no need for the destruction of their weapons at all if they had behaved sensibly. So they were led to play into the hands of their enemies. They followed the advice in the beginning of American ambassador in Iraq, who encouraged them to attack Kuwait and told them positively that America will not object, we are neutral, which was wrong. It was a ruse adopted by Americans to make them come out of their shells and show their weapons and their intentions, etc. If they had not fallen into that plot, things which you see today should not have happened. Now it is no time for advising them, but still it is time for advising the Americans. And I'm so glad that here in England there are parliamentarians who are using very strong language of censure against Clintonism. And they're declaring him to be a danger to the world peace, a threat to the world peace, and a threat to the innocent people, not only in Iraq but everywhere in the world. So only 2 or 3 days ago, I came across this piece of news item, and I was amazed that here there are bold people, bold enough to decry the wrong intentions of America and to snub them as brutal. So this is our voice. But our voice does not reach those ears, but the voice of the British people, the British intelligentsia and the British politicians may perhaps reach them. Whatever happens, I'm glad that the crisis is averted for the time being. But it may not be averted for a long time to come, because America does not want to leave them alone. Not because of any fear which they entertain, but because they know that this power, if it comes into its own, if its oil reserves are sold in the free market, that is going to create a real problem for America, American policies and American economy. So that is the reason I think they're going to persist in this policy of antagonism towards Iraq. They call it an antagonism towards Iraqi leader Saddam. It's wrong. They keep him alive to make the target, to make the entire people of Iraq suffer because of this leadership. And this is an excuse. Your own leader which is bringing down upon you such calamities. So it's a very clever game, but not wise game.
This question is from Mr. Keith Bowman. He's a retired lawyer from London.
Where is? Oh, there.
Do you see any way in which the gap can ever be bridged in Islam between the moderate and extremist groups such as the Taliban?
I don't think so. It's not possible. The gap which has created these forces is widening. It cannot be bridged. Because once the destruction begins in a religious community, it always becomes worse, does not turn back to any betterment. That is the role of God to play. All religious communities, if they turn their back upon what they have falsified, I mean the religion they have falsified, if they revert from that, begin to move towards the right religion at the source, this does not happen automatically. It has never happened automatically. If Allah so desires that such things happen, He can send someone or raise the consciousness among a truly God-fearing people that this is what we should do. So the world history of religion supports this. But in case of Muslim fundamentalists, we do not see any evidence of this ever happening in the near future. Maybe in a remote future from now it's possible, but not now. You see, even Nawaz Sharif is becoming a Taliban leader now. You see? Imagine. It's an easy way to reach dictatorship. And in fact, all people want secure dictatorial powers where they emerge from democratic process or from any other process. All democratically elected leaders also want perpetuation of their hold on their people. But there are civilized people and uncivilized people. In the civilized people, you do not find any apparent deviation from the democratic principles. They do it privately. But in the uncivilized people like we suffer from, this always happens. They don't care. They are without shame. Please.
Question from Mr. Surjit Singh.